Hello everyone, this is part 9 of What If Naruto Was the Child of the Moon in Percy Jackson, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Drip, drip, drip. A blonde-haired boy groaned. What happened? Drip, drip, drip. On fuck. The blonde rose with a start remembering his battle. Ares. He looked around. He was in a dark room filled with pipes and dripping water. In one corner of the room was a hallway. Not this again, Naruto complained. The blonde stood up and stretched. He followed the corridor and found himself into a huge room with a huge golden gate. So, you're back, a voice said from inside the gate. I can sense you are up against one of those troublesome gods. So you noticed. Naruto said. Can we speed this up? I gotta get back to the fight. You're here for more power. The voice said again. Pretty much, yeah. The blonde replied. You owe me rent after all. The voice chuckled in his cage. Fine then. Indulge in my power. Red chakra circled around him then covered him completely. Santa Monica Beach. Naruto. Percy. Cops. Annabeth warned. Percy stirred and managed to get on his feet. He was seeing double now, but in the corner of his eyes, he could see the red lights flashing along the shoreline. Beside him, Naruto stood up radiating with a newfound power. His eyes were blazing red. Grover gasped and went pale. What's wrong, Grover? Annabeth asked. I can sense Naruto's killing intent, Grover said. Annabeth looked at Naruto. She could see a faint outline of red energy clinging to Naruto. Meanwhile, sirens wailed as a couple of cop cars came rushing to the scene. Their officer. A bystander yelled to the officers. See. A cop with a gruff voice said, looks like that kid on TV, what the hell? That guy's armed. The cop from the other car said. Call for backup. Ares laughed out loud. Is that all you got, punks? Where's all that big talk just now? The demigods gritted their teeth. Naruto felt the red chakra coursing through his chakra network. You need to get back to the water to stand a chance, right? Naruto said in a voice almost sounding like two people. Naruto. Water? Percy asked. Right, Percy. Naruto reiterated. Why yeah. Percy answered. Follow my lead. Naruto said. In almost like a blur, he made the necessary hand signs. Wind style, great breakthrough. A huge gust of wind blew towards the god of war, but he was smart. He dug his sword into the ground and braced himself for the jutsu. As soon as the wind died, the blonde appeared right in front of him and hit him square in the face, causing him to fly back to the water. Ares definitely didn't expect the extra power from the punch. Percy followed him to the water and they both charged the god of war. As soon as he stepped into the water, all his senses opened up and he was reinvigorated with strength. Naruto and Percy didn't give Ares time to recover. They immediately went to pressure Ares even more. The god of war was able to get to his feet and defend himself from consecutive attacks the two boys were throwing at him. But the problem is when he manages to block on one strike, another strike would scratch him, due to him narrowly dodging them. Unfortunately, Ares' immortality and the fact that he has millennia worth of experience allowed him to continue fighting and managed to gain the upper hand. He started to pick apart the boys. Naruto, with all his shinobi training, and Percy, with his enhanced battle senses from the water, were barely able to defend themselves from the god. More sirens blared signaling the arrival of 3 more cop cars. Drop the guns. A policeman's voice said from a megaphone. Guns? Percy asked aloud. The mist, was all Naruto said. Percy looked at the god of war's weapon. It seemed to be flickering. One moment it was a two-handed great sword. In another instance, it was a shotgun. Ares glared at the horde of spectators and police, which resulted in a break in the fighting. There were 5 police cars now and a line of police officers crouching behind them, training their pistols at the demigods. Amidst the noise, the demigods could hear the flapping of leathery wings. This is a private matter. Ares bellowed. Be gone. He swept his hand, and a wall of red flame rolled across the police cars. The cops barely had enough time to dive to safety as the cars exploded. The crowd of onlookers ran away to safety. Ares roared in laughter. Now, little heroes, let's add you to the barbecue. Naruto dashed towards the god of war, and kicked him in the face and sent him spiraling back. Percy appeared behind Ares to hit him with the hilt of his sword, but the Ares twisted and sliced Percy in his midsection. The god of war grinned, but the guys he sliced puffed into white smoke and turned into a log. What? Ares exclaimed. The real Percy rose from underwater and went in for an attack. Ares was able to defend, and counterattack. Percy's battle reflexes kicked in and disarmed the god of war just like he did in camp training. Naruto appeared in between them and slammed a blue orb of concentrated energy into the gut of the god of war, sending him back sinking under the ground. The son of Poseidon was now panting hard. He realized that he was exerting power somewhere else. He was holding back the tide, and the pressure was building like the carbonation inside a soda can waiting to come out as soon as the can was opened. Naruto, Percy called out. He pointed to the now 6-foot wave building up from the built-up tension of the tide. Naruto grinned, and then nodded. Ares rose from the water. The Rasengan hurt him all right. His shirt was now torn from where the jutsu hit him. Any normal human would have passed out or much less died. But, curse his immortality. He was a god after all. Percy and Naruto lowered their weapons showing their fatigue. This gave the god of war confidence to continue the fight. Percy, then released the tide. A 6-foot wall of water slammed itself into Ares, leaving him cursing and sputtering with a mouth of seaweed. Water style, water shark bomb jutsu. Naruto yelled, and a shark-made out water exploded at the back of Ares leaving him lying on the surf right in front of them. Naruto and Percy did a high five after seeing what happened. After that, Percy stabbed Ares straight through the Ares heel. The two, then walked to their friends. Ah! Ares yelled as the sea was blasted way around him sending the boys to the beach. The roar of Ares' power dwarfed the earthquake Hades did earlier. Ares was now standing in a wet circle of sand about 50 feet wide. From his boot, golden ichor flowed from the wound Percy had inflicted earlier. On his face was a mixture of pain, hatred, and disbelief that he would be defeated and knocked around like a ragdoll. He limped towards the beach muttering curses in ancient Greek. The power the boys were feeling while they were fighting was now replaced by fatigue. They couldn't even defend themselves, much less get on their feet. He could have finished both boys off at this chance he was given, but something stopped him. A cold heavy presence passed over the beach, draining the color from the area and the sound was muted. Time was slowed and the temperature was freezing. The darkness lifted. Ares looked stunned. The water flowed back to around Ares' feet, dissipating the golden ichor in the tide. Annabeth and Grover watched in shock, while Percy and Naruto groggily sat up. You have made an enemy, godlings. Ares said. You have sealed your fate. Every time you raise your blade in battle, every time you hope for success, you will feel my curse. Beware, Perseus Jackson, Naruto Uzumaki. Beware. His body began to glow. Percy. Naruto. Don't look. Annabeth warned. The boys averted their eyes as Ares revealed his true immortal form. A few seconds later, the light died. When the boys looked back, Ares was gone. The tide rolled out revealing Hades' bronze helm of darkness. The boys slowly got to their feet, and made their way to the helm to pick it up. The flap of leathery wings now approached the boys as they made it to their friends. When they landed, the Fury who the boys recognized as Mrs. Dodds stepped forward. For once, she didn't look threatening. She looked more disappointed, like she was planning to drag the demigods back to the underworld. We saw the whole thing, she hissed. So it really was not you. Percy nodded and tossed her the helmet. She caught it in surprise. Tell Lord Hades what really happened. Naruto said. The war doesn't need to happen. She hesitated, and then licked her lips with her forked tongue. Live well, Percy Jackson, Naruto Uzumaki. Become true heroes. If you do not, and come into my clutches again. The Fury cackled. Annabeth immediately grabbed the two boys and hugged the two boys. That was reckless even for you two boys. Annabeth said as a tear rolled down her cheek. Percy blushed. Naruto ruffled Annabeth's hair. The younger blonde let go for the two. That was incredible. Grover said as he knocked the two boys down to the ground making the boys wince in pain. More like terrifying. Annabeth corrected. Don't scare us like that again. She said as she and Grover helped the two boys up. Naruto chuckled as he scratched the back of his head. Did you guys feel that, whatever it was? Percy said. Guys, it must have been the Furies overhead. Grover offered. Naruto shook her head. I doubt that. We've encountered them before and it didn't feel like that. The four was still in denial. The memories of what they had talked about in the cab on the way to Santa Monica resurfaced. None of them wanted to talk about it. After a brief pause, Naruto said, Grover, you felt the energy coming from me, did you? Grover couldn't speak, but Naruto knew he did. Naruto sighed. I was hoping no one would ever know of this. I guess I owe you guys an explanation. Yes, you do, Naruto. We'll hold you to that, Annabeth said. But for now, we've got to finish the quest. We have to get to New York by tonight. Percy said. But that's impossible, Annabeth said. Unless we fly. Percy finished her sentence. You mean like fly, like an airplane? The daughter of Athena clarified. Percy nodded. That's a bad idea, Percy. Grover said. What if Zeus strikes you out of the sky? I doubt he would that, Grover. Naruto disagreed. Not when we have his precious weapon in our possession. Right, Zeus? Naruto asked up in the sky. A few moments after their conversation, the police, along with the press, had found them standing in the beach among the wreckage. The group would have run away, if not for the police yelling, Are you kids okay? Where did the kidnapper go? They didn't know what to say. All that was in their mind was, kidnapper. The press had flooded them with questions about what it was like these past few days trying to get away from their kidnapped, but the demigods still didn't know what they were talking about. The press told them the whole story. Apparently, it all started when these kids made a Greyhound bus explode somewhere in New Jersey. Witnesses suddenly remembered seeing the leather-clad Ares stalking the kids in bus. The kids fled to St. Louis with the kidnapper on their tail. The kidnapper had captured them there and caused an explosion there to get away. A concerned waitress in Denver had seen the kidnapper threaten the kids in a parking lot. Finally, here in Santa Monica, the older boys decided to fight back and protect their friends. All the demigods did was act exhausted and tearful in front of the camera. All I want, Percy said in an interview, is to see my loving stepfather again. Every time I saw him on TV, calling me a delinquent punk, I knew, sniffle asterisk, somehow, we would be okay. And I know he'll want to reward each and every person in this beautiful city with a free major appliance from his store for helping us. Here's the phone number. It was hard for the two demigods and Satyr who were listening to keep up their act when Percy was interviewed. It was a good thing they were able to hold in their laughter while Percy was talking. On the other hand, the police and the media listening were so moved by Percy's speech that they raised money for the 4 tickets for the demigods. At the airport, Naruto and Percy followed Annabeth's lead. Neither of them had been in the air before. One of them was so excited to try flying, while the other one was so nervous, his shirt got wet from the sweat. You can make a guess on who was feeling which. Takeoff was a nightmare for Percy. Every bit of turbulence almost made him wet his pants. He was gripping his armrest for the whole trip. During the trip, he hoped and prayed that Zeus would cut him some slack just this once considering the circumstances. Once during the trip, Percy suddenly grabbed Annabeth's hand which made the latter blush. The daughter of Athena blushed after what happened, but she didn't say anything. She understood her friend. Naruto, the other hand, had his face glued to the window the whole time. He raised his hands whenever there was turbulence since it made him feel like riding a carnival ride. This is awesome, Naruto said as quietly as he could. Geez, Naruto. Calm down. Grover said. Sorry, I can't help it, Naruto answered. Many of the passengers were staring at him like he was a crazy person. Poor Grover had to come up with an excuse for how Naruto was acting. His skills in lying hadn't improved at all. Luckily, the passengers believed him. They just passed off Grover's signs when he was lying as him being embarrassed. Finally, after what felt like a long flight, the demigods were ADHD after all, they touched down safely at LaGuardia. As the demigods expected, the press was waiting for them. It was a good thing they had a shinobi with them. So, after everyone else had deplaned, Naruto created 4 clones to deal with the press while they sneak away. Once they were sure no one else would see them, they split up at the taxi stand. It was hard for them to do so after everything they've been through. But, Naruto explained that they had to. He told them that they had to go and report the quest as a success to stop the demigods back at camp from fighting any further. Naruto presented himself to go with Percy to provide backup, in case anything untoward happens. Naruto wouldn't admit it, but he wanted to see Mount Olympus for himself. He wanted to check out the place and see if the waitress in the Lotus Hotel was right. He wanted to see if there really was an Ichiraku's ramen stand in the Godly Mountain. Naruto and Percy hopped into their own taxi after Annabeth and Grover hopped into their own. In 30 minutes, they made it to their destination. Despite living on this world for quite some time now, Naruto still marveled at the architecture of the had never seen anything quite like this in the elemental nations. Not wasting any more time, the two boys entered the Empire State. They must have looked like homeless kids since their clothes were in tatters from the previous encounter. They decided to leave it be since they had to complete the quest. Together, the two walked up to the guard at the front desk. 600th floor please, Percy said. The guard was reading a book with a picture of a boy in glasses riding a broomstick. Naruto tried reading some of those books, but he wasn't much of a fan of the people who could only do magic with a wooden stick. Not when he can perform similar feats with a quick hand sign. Plus he heard of those other wizards who go on quests just like these demigods did, and just like he did back in the elemental nations. The guard must have found the book interesting because he didn't even look up when he said, "No such floor, kiddo. I need an audience with Zeus." Percy pressed. He gave Percy a vacant smile. "Sorry. You heard the man," Naruto said. The boys almost decided that the guy was a regular mortal, but the guard said, "No appointment, no audience, kiddos. Lord Zeus doesn't see anyone unannounced. Show him," the blonde shinobi said. Percy grinned and unzipped his bag. "Really? Not even with this?" The guard momentarily looked up from his book, and his eyes instantly went as wide as dinner plates and the color drained from his face. "That isn't. It's the real deal," Naruto said. "You better get us up there before Zeus wreaks havoc on America." The guard scrambled out of his chair, and fumbled around his desk for a key card, then handed it to Percy. "Insert this in the security slot, and make sure no one is with you in the elevator," the guard instructed. "What if we brought someone else up there? Like a mortal?" Percy asked. "Oh kid, you don't wanna know," the guard answered. "You should get going." With that, the demigods made their way to the elevator. Percy did as the guard instructed. The card disappeared in the slot and a new button appeared on the console. It was a big red button with the number 600 written on it. Percy pressed it and they were on their way. Music played in the elevator while they waited. "Raindrops keep falling on my head." Finally, the elevator made a ding sound signaling their arrival at God's Mountain. What they saw made the boys awestruck. From the top of the clouds, the decapitated peak of the mountain could be seen, with its summit covered in snow. On the mountainside, dozens of multi-leveled palaces stood perched to the mountain. It was a city of mansions, all of them with columned porticos, gilded terraces and bronze braziers carrying thousands of fires throughout the city. Roads wound crazily up the peak, where the largest palace gleamed against the snow. Perched on the side of the mountain was a garden filled with olive trees and rose bushes. In the distance, the demigods could make out an open-air market with colorful tents, a stone amphitheater on one side of the mountain and a hippodrome and a colosseum on the other side. It was what you would imagine an ancient Greek city would be, except it wasn't in ruins. Everything was alive and well, just like what Athens would have looked like long ago. And here I thought New York was the most outrageous thing I would see in my lifetime. Naruto managed to say amidst his awe. After getting over their shock, Naruto and Percy made their way through Olympus. The first thing they passed through was an olive tree. Residing in the tree was a group of wood nymphs. They threw olives at the demigods, which hit Percy a few times, but not Naruto. The blonde was able to snatch the olives from the air. He gave them cold stare, and when the nymphs realized who his godly parent is, they scurried away and hid in the trees. In the hawkers in the market they saw earlier, vendors hounded them to buy the goods of all different kinds. They were offered to buy ambrosia on a stick, a new shield, and also a replica of the golden fleece, as seen on Hephaestus TV. On one side of the market, Naruto got distracted by the Ichiraku ramen stand, which was the reason he wanted to accompany Percy to Mount Olympus. Percy to drag him and remind him of the quest they had to complete. In the park, the 9 muses were tuning their instruments for a concert. There was a small crowd of satyrs, naiads and a bunch of good-looking teenagers who Naruto figured were minor gods and goddesses. Nobody seemed to be worried about an impending civil war. Several of the minor gods whispered among themselves when the two passed. After a little bit of walking, the two boys climbed the main road towards the big palace at the peak. Hey Percy, doesn't that palace look familiar? Naruto asked his friend. Percy took a look at the palace. Now that you mention it, it's like our friend downstairs palace, right? Yeah, it's just more colorful and glittery. It's just sad, you know. Hades isn't allowed up here, so he built his palace to look like this. Yeah. Steps they climbed led up to a central courtyard. Beyond that, there was the throne room. Scrap that, room wasn't even enough to describe this room. This room made the Grand Central Station look like a broom closet. There were massive columns that rose through a domed ceiling which was gilded with moving constellations. An enormous fire crackled in the central hearth pit. 12 giant thrones were arranged in an inverted U pattern just like the cabins at Camp Half-Blood. Only 2 of the thrones were occupied, the head throne and the one on its immediate left. The gods waiting for them were in the giant form, just as Hades had been when the demigods met him. The one on the head throne was wearing a dark blue pinstriped suit. He sat on a simple throne made of solid platinum. He had a well-trimmed beard, marbled gray and black like a storm cloud. His face was proud and handsome and grim, his eyes rainy gray. This was Zeus, the lord of the gods. As they approached them, the demigods could smell ozone in the air, and their bodies were starting to tingle. The god next to him was dressed very differently. He wore leather sandals, khaki Bermuda shorts, and a Tommy Bahama shirt with coconuts and parrots all over it. His skin was deeply tanned, and his hands scarred like an old-time fisherman's. His hair was black, and his face had that same brooding look that could be seen on Percy's face sometimes. His eyes were sea green just like Percy's. His throne was a deep-sea fisherman's chair. It was the simple swiveling kind, with a black leather seat and a built-in holster for a fishing pole. Instead of a pole, the holster held a bronze trident, flickering with green light around the tips. This was Poseidon, god of the seas. The gods weren't moving or speaking, but there was tension in the air, as if they'd just finished an argument. Percy walked to Poseidon first, while Naruto bowed to Zeus. Father, Percy said to Poseidon. Lord Zeus, Naruto greeted. Then, the boys switched places and greeted the other god that they didn't greet. You should learn from your friend here, boy. Zeus said to Percy. Should you not address the master of this house first? The 2 boys kept their heads down. Peace, brother, Poseidon finally said. It is only right that the boy defers to his father. You still claim him then? Zeus said menacingly. You claim this child whom you sired against our sacred oath. I have admitted my wrongdoing. Poseidon said. Now, let us hear him speak. A cab rolled in the middle of nowhere. There were picket fences with signs of pick your own strawberries plastered on it. Are you sure about this, kids? The cab driver asked. The 2 of them nodded. We get that a lot, a blonde-haired girl said. So, you own this place? The cab driver tried to make small talk. Yeah, you could say that. A satyr said. Of course, the driver didn't know that. Well, if you say so, the cab driver relented. The 2 kids in the back seat paid the driver and got off the cab. They walked through the fences and climbed up a hill, revealing a summer camp, with Greek architecture all around. The campers greeted them as they walked through. They walked up to a sky-blue farmhouse where 2 men were playing cards in its porch. Annabeth and Grover. The man on a wheelchair greeted. You're back. Hey Chiron, hey Mr. D. The 2 answered. The other porky man, don't tell him I called him that, who was Mr. D, didn't even look up from his cards. I assume the quest is a success. The 2 nodded. That's a relief, Chiron said. But where are Naruto and Percy? Well, Mount Olympus. I have spared him once already. The king of the gods complained. Daring to fly through my domain, Pa. I should have blasted him out of the sky for his impudence. And risk destroying your own master bolt and unleash it unto this world. Poseidon asked calmly. Percy looked confused, not knowing what it was. Not to mention the other innocent people in the plane with us. Naruto grumbled to himself, making sure the gods won't hear him. Let us at least hear him and his friend hear out, brother. The gods of the sea said to his brother. Zeus grumbled some more. I shall listen, he decided. Then, I shall make up my mind whether or not to cast this boy down from Olympus. Perseus and Naruto was it. Address Lord Zeus. Tell him your story. The 2 demigods recounted their whole ordeal, from the fury revealing itself in the museum to the battle with Ares. Percy took out the bolt from the bag Ares had given him way back in Denver. In the presence of its owner, the cylinder started sparking. There was a deafening silence after they recounted their story, with only the crackling of the hearth to fill in the silence. Zeus opened his palm. The lightning bolt flew into it. As he closed his fist, the metallic points flared with electricity, until he was holding a 20-foot-long javelin hissing with energy. I sense that the boy is telling the truth, Zeus muttered. But that Ares would do such a thing, it is most unlike him. He is proud and impulsive, Poseidon said. It runs in the family. Zeus flashed him an irritated look. Percy and Naruto looked at each other. The latter signaled him to say it. Lord? Percy asked. Yes, both gods said. Ares didn't act alone, Percy said. Something came up with the idea. Naruto continued. Percy described his dreams. Honestly, this was the first time he was hearing of this too, since he was asleep when Percy told his dreams to Annabeth and Grover. Naruto even told them the momentarily breath of evil that seemed to stop the world and made Ares back off from the fight. In the dreams, Percy said, the voice told me to bring the bolt in the underworld. Ares kind of told us that he'd been having dreams too. I think it was using Ares to start a war. So, you are accusing Hades after all? Zeus asked. Percy didn't know what to say. No sir, Naruto explained. Lord Zeus, we have been in the presence of Lord Hades. The feeling on the beach and the presence trying to pull us to the pit in the underworld felt extremely different. We suspect it's something is stirring down there, something older than the gods. Plus, Percy mentioned someone called, the Crooked One, from his dreams. Zeus and Poseidon looked at each other. They had a quick and intense discussion in ancient Greek. The two demigods in front of them didn't understand most of the words, but they caught one that they did understand. Father. Could it be? Naruto thought. That word alone confirmed his and Annabeth's suspicions. Poseidon tried to give some kind of suggestion, but Zeus raised his hand, cutting him off. We shall speak of this no more, Zeus said. I must go personally to purify this thunderbolt in the waters of Lemnos to remove the human taint. He rose. Godlings, you have done me a service. Few heroes could have accomplished as much. We had help, sir. Percy said. Annabeth Chase and Grover Underwood. To show my thanks, I shall spare your life. I do not trust you, pursues Jackson. I do not like what your arrival means to Olympus, but for the sake of peace in the family, I shall let you live. Thank you sir, Percy answered. Then the god of lightning turned to Naruto. As for you, I shall let you continue staying in this world. I sense you have the wind affinity and the potential to learn the lightning affinity in the future. I must admit, I hate to have a demigod of your standards in this world, but for the sake of my daughter, you are free to stay, provided you use your talents for the good of Olympus. But if you fail to reel in your powers and misuse them against Olympus, I shall send you back to your world. Yes sir, Naruto said. And, do not presume to fly again, Perseus Jackson. Do not let me find you two here when I return, he warned. Otherwise, you shall taste this bolt, and it shall be your last sensation. Percy gulped. Thunder shook the palace. With a blinding flash of lightning, Zeus was gone. I see where Lord Dionysus gets his flair for dramatic exits, Naruto commented. Yes, well, he is Zeus' son after all, Poseidon said. Naruto could sense that Poseidon wanted to speak with Percy in private, so he said, Percy, certainly now I can go hit that ramen stand. I'm just dying to check it out. It's a pleasure to meet you, Lord Poseidon. And Percy, meet me at the ramen stand later, I might not be done by then. Poseidon nodded, then Naruto left. So that's Artemis' son, Poseidon said. He's certainly different. Yeah, you can say that again. Different teenagers approached Naruto as he wandered the streets of Olympus searching for the ramen stall he saw earlier. They must have been minor gods and goddesses. After a while of walking and greeting, Naruto had made it to the Olympian branch of Ichiraku Ramen. One big bowl of miso ramen with every topping you have, Naruto ordered. Do you have drachma to pay for it? The attendant asked. Of course, the blonde patted his pockets and the smile on his face disappeared. Oh yeah, I gave my pouch of drachma to Charon. Damn it, Naruto grumbled aloud. I'll take care of it, a child's voice said. Naruto turned his head to see who said that. It was a 9-year-old girl with mousy brown hair and fiery red eyes which reminded him of Ares, except it was warm and comforting. She was dressed simply, but her beauty was evident. This is Hestia, goddess of the hearth. Lady Hestia, Naruto asked. And make that too, please. Hestia told the attendant. Yes, ma'am. Coming right up, the attendant said. The goddess then turned to Naruto and greeted him. Hello, Naruto. To what do I owe this meeting? The blonde asked. Oh, I just came to see my niece's son. She answered. You know, you have made quite the impression up here in Olympus after your quest. Naruto smiled. Well, I just did what had to be done to prevent your family from tearing each other apart. Plus, those kids were new to this quest thing. I just wanted to keep them safe. I see. That is admirable, protecting your friends like they're your own. And I thank you for looking out for my brothers. They can be hard-headed. Naruto nodded as he took a sip on the ramen that the attendant placed on their table. Family, it was something that I never had, but I don't want yours to fall apart just because of Zeus' toy of mass destruction. Thunder boomed, making Naruto frown. The will of fire, I sense it burns brightly in you. Hestia told him. Naruto's eyes widened in realization. But that's what Gigi said. Yes, Naruto. Hestia explained. It was I who bequeathed the will of fire to the Hashirama, seeing his drive and burning desire to protect the people even from his dear friend. The fire in its name doesn't only come from the name of the land where you are from, you know. A sad smile crept to Naruto's face, all the memories of Sarutobi coming to visit him flooded back. Hestia placed a hand on his shoulder. Naruto felt the warmth of the touch. Enough of the history lesson. This isn't the time for that. Your mother wanted me to see how you are doing. She did. Naruto's eyes brightened. Where is she, by the way? Oh, Naruto. Her domain keeps her busier than any of us here. I can't see her anytime soon, can I? Hestia shook her head. You just have to be patient, Naruto. The time will come soon. At least I have something to look forward to, right? The blonde grinned. Speaking of which, I was waiting for you to come and bring Zeus his bolt. I wanted to ask you a favor. Hestia said. What is it, Lady Hestia? Naruto asked. As you know, I am a virgin goddess. I do not have children of my own. Spread my domain. I would like you to be my champion. Me? Why me? You never compromise when it comes to your friends. In fact, you see them as family. You also never stop fighting in what you believe in. Those qualities are what make you perfect to be my champion, so what you say? I will make you proud. Naruto replied. I know you will, Naruto. Hestia said. Hestia was finished with her meal, so she stood up, prompting Naruto to stand up too. That was an interesting meal. I am beginning to see why you see this as the food of the gods. Naruto chuckled and scratched the back of his head. It's time for me to go, Naruto. Thank you for accepting my offer. From now on, you will have my blessing. Hestia said. An orange aura enveloped Naruto and disappeared as quickly as it appeared. No. Thank you, Lady Hestia. Naruto said. You can have as much ramen as you want. Let Percy have some when he comes over. Hestia offered. Naruto literally had stars in his eyes. Really? You're the best. Hestia nodded. I have to go now, Naruto. I'll see you back at camp. Olympian ICHIRAKU. I figured you were still here. Percy told the still-eating blonde with a mountain of bowls on his table. Hey Percy. Want some ramen? Naruto offered. Nah, I'm good. Percy declined. Geez, where do you put all these stuff? Naruto grinned in between slurps. So how'd that talk with your dad go? Naruto inquired. I don't know, good, I guess. Percy shrugged and told Naruto the details. Mom's at home now. Lord Hades kept his promise. Percy nodded. Then, what are we waiting for? You. Oh sorry, let me finish this last one first. Back in the mortal world. Percy hailed a cab so he could get back to the apartment. He almost forgot that he didn't have money on him. It was a good thing Naruto reminded him and lent him some. He was about to board the taxi when he noticed the blonde was hanging back. You coming? Percy asked. Naruto shook his head. I think you got this, man. Besides, Gabe won't be happy to see me. And I got to see if Annabeth and Grover are okay. Percy chuckled. He'll be angrier with me. I basically offered the whole nation free appliances. Oh yeah, that. Naruto laughed as well. Well, I'll see you back at camp. Percy, then, went on his way to see his mother again, and Naruto hailed another cab to get back to camp. Half-Blood Hill. Naruto. Annabeth and Grover shouted as soon as they saw the blonde at the hill. We were so worried that Zeus would smite you. Grover said. Well, I kept Percy in line for that one. Naruto chuckled. Speaking of him, where is the seaweed brain? Annabeth asked. He went to see his mom. They're having their reunion as we speak. Naruto answered. Are you sure Percy would be okay? Gabe's gonna kill him. Grover sounded worried. He'll be fine. If this quest proves anything, it's that the water boy can handle anything that's thrown at him. Naruto answered. Annabeth and Grover nodded. Ah, you're back, Naruto, a voice said from behind them. Hey Chiron. Naruto greeted. It's good to be back. Come now, then, the camp would like to see you. Chiron said and gestured the three to follow him. Naruto. A voice whispered from somewhere. The blonde whipped his head back as soon as he heard his name called. The odd thing was nobody was there. All he saw were the trees that surrounded the woods. Naruto. You coming? Annabeth called him when he noticed that Naruto was lagging behind. I'll find out later. The blonde shinobi thought, then ran to catch up. One by one, the campers came to greet Naruto as soon as they saw him. If he didn't have a lot of fans before, then he definitely had more now. It was like he won some kind of reality TV contest, which was closer to the truth than they thought because of Hephaestus TV. An hour later, Percy arrived at camp. His friends greeted him at the borders of the camp. Just like with Naruto, the other campers came to greet him, but the difference now was the real party was beginning, if you could call this a party. They were the first heroes since Luke to return alive from a quest, so it was a long time since they did this, but it was camp tradition for the returning heroes to wear laurel wreaths on their heads and have a big feast to honor them. They even led a procession to the bonfire, where they burned their burial shrouds their cabin mates made in their absence. Annabeth's shroud was a beautiful grey silk with embroidered owls with the symbol of Athena in the middle. Percy said that it was a shame not to bury anyone in it. Annabeth punched him in the arm and told him to shut up. Naruto added that it was a good thing for it to be unused. Since Percy didn't have any cabin mates, the Ares cabin had volunteered to make his shroud. They'd taken an old bedsheet and painted smiley faces with X'd out eyes around the border, and the word loser plastered in the middle of the shroud. Oh, Percy had fun burning his shroud. Naruto's shroud was made by the Aphrodite cabin. Originally, the Apollo cabin wanted to make the shrouds since they were his cousins, but a few bets and a capture the flag game when they were away, the Aphrodite cabin somehow won it. I guess they were that motivated. The children of the love goddess made a silver shroud with different animals embroidered on it and the symbol of Artemis in the middle. Naruto thought it was beautiful, so he reluctantly burned his shroud. The Apollo cabin led a sing-along in the amphitheater. As a special treat for tonight, there was dancing unlike the other times they did it. The campers had a blast as they danced to the different songs that the children of Apollo sang, even Grover, who got awarded with his long-desired searcher's license. Well, everyone except for one cabin counselor of the Hermes cabin. Everyone was caught off guard when the music suddenly slowed. The campers watched as Naruto walked up to Annabeth to ask her for a dance, which made the daughter of Athena blush like a tomato, but she accepted Naruto's offer in the end. Grover danced with a wood nymph, Juniper I think her name was. Katie from the Demeter cabin was offered a dance by Travis. And Percy ended up dancing with Clarice. At first, the daughter of Ares threatened to kill anyone who would ask her to. Naruto suggested that the water boy dance with her to make up for the unfortunate first impressions the two had. They kinda look good together. Naruto commented. Yeah, they both look so cute with the massive blushes on their faces. Annabeth added. Like you were any better earlier. Naruto snickered. Shut up, blondie. Annabeth punched him in the arm. But, you're blonde too, so you can't use that. But, oh never mind. When curfew struck, Mr. D clapped his hands and everyone went quiet. He made a half-hearted welcome back speech before the campers went to their cabins. Yes, so the bolt is returned and the brats didn't get themselves killed. Hoorah and all that. In other announcements, there will be no canoe races this Saturday. That night, Naruto moved back to cabin 8. Just like the Apollo cabin in the morning, the cabin was glowing silver in the night. Odd. The cabin looks smaller than I remember. Naruto wondered aloud. He quickly got settled in the room. On the headboard of his bed, there was another note. Dear Naruto, congratulations on completing your quest. You have made me proud. The hunters have told me of your meeting in the waterbed store. I am glad you are safe and keeping your friends safe. I felt the QB's power leak out from the seal. Fair warning, son, refrain from using the fox's power too much as it takes a toll on you, especially the higher stages. I suggest you train hard, so you won't rely on it too much. There are different jutsus in the scrolls in your room. Why don't you try one of them? Lastly, I heard from Hestia that you accepted her offer to be her champion. I know you will do her and me proud. I hope I could have seen you when you were last in Olympus, but my domain keeps me away. Soon, my son, we will see each other. Become strong. I will always be watching you just as the moon watches over the night sky. Love, Mom. A tear ran down Naruto's cheeks as he read the note. It told him that wherever his mom is or whatever she is doing, she is still thinking of him. You got it, Mom. He said aloud. 1 week later, a letter arrived in the big house addressed to Naruto and Percy. She wrote in the letter that Gabe had mysteriously disappeared off the planet. She had filed a missing persons report, but she had a funny feeling that he would never be found. She also wrote about a life-sized concrete sculpture to a collector in an art gallery in Soho. She named it, The Poker Player. She got so much money because of it that she was able to put a deposit down on a new apartment and made a payment on her first semester tuition at NYU. The gallery was clamoring for more of her work, saying that it was a huge step forward in super ugly neorealism, or so they say. She declined the offer, saying that it was a one-time thing. She said that she disposed of the tools that Percy gave. She would turn to writing completely. She asked about Naruto, and why he didn't come to the apartment when the quest was finished. She told Naruto to not beat himself up about failing her. The important thing was she was back now. She also told him that Naruto is welcome to live with them so he wouldn't live alone anymore. At the bottom, there was a PS for Percy. It said that Percy was signed up for a new private school. It said that there was a deposit down to hold his spot in case he wanted to enroll for 7th grade. It said that he could live at home, but if he wanted to stay year-round, it was okay. The two decided that Percy should keep it. Naruto told himself to scrape in extra offerings for Hades to place Gabe in the fields of punishment and to Athena for her blessing on Sally's education. On the 4th of July, the whole camp gathered at the beach to watch the fireworks display by Cabin 9. The Hephaestus kids anchored a barge offshore and loaded it with rockets the size of Patriot missiles. Annabeth explained that the blasts would be sequenced so tightly that they'd look like frames of animation across the sky. The finale was supposed to be a couple of 100-foot-tall Spartan warriors who would crackle to life above the ocean, fight a battle, and then explode into a million colors. The three from the Lightning Bolt quest set a picnic blanket. While they were doing that, Grover showed up to say goodbye to his friends. He was dressed in his usual jeans and t-shirt and sneakers, only this time he looked older, almost high school age. His goatee had gotten thicker. He'd put on weight. His horns had grown at least an inch, so he now had to wear his Rasta cap all the time to pass as human. I'm off, Grover said. I came to, you know. His friends tried to sound upbeat. After all, this was a stepping stone for Grover's dream. They should be happy for him. They were his closest friends after all. So, Grover, where are you going to look first? Percy asked. Kind of a secret, Grover answered, looking embarrassed. I wish you could come with me, guys, but humans and Pan. It's okay, man. We understand. Naruto clapped him on the shoulder. Always keep your fake feet on. Annabeth started to fuss over him. Yes, Annabeth, you have enough cans for your trip. Yeah, and you remembered your reed pipes. I got it right here. Grover patted his pockets. Geez, Annabeth, you sound like my old mama goat. He wasn't really annoyed. Well then, wish me luck. He hugged his friends, and then headed back through the dunes. Fireworks exploded to life overhead, Hercules killing the Nemean lion, Artemis chasing the boar, George Washington, who, by the way, was a son of Athena, crossing the Delaware, Naruto's whirlpool symbol at the back of his custom-made camp shirts which was looking like a real whirlpool, a silver bow and arrow firing a shot to commemorate the first sun Artemis, Poseidon raising the waves in the ocean. Hey Grover, Percy called out. He was at the edge of the woods, but he turned to look. Wherever you're going I hope they make good enchiladas. Percy shouted. And smack those bullies with that stick of yours. Naruto added. Grover grinned, and then he was gone, the trees closing around him. We'll see him again, Annabeth said. The two boys nodded. Even though no searcher was able to return in 2,000 years, they had to believe that Grover would be the first. July passed. The boys began planning strategies to keep the flag out of the Aries cabin's hands. On some occasions, Percy and Naruto would separate teams as a sort of friendly rivalry. On those times, Naruto's team proved to be better. To keep things interesting, Naruto suggested a free-for-all against all the cabins to steal scrolls from the other teams, just like in the Chunin exam that Naruto attended. The other campers loved the idea, so they alternated between the two games. As days gone by, Naruto tried to find the source of the voice, but he couldn't find it, or sometimes he didn't have the time. Things went on just like that until the last night of the summer session came all too quickly. The campers had one more meal with each other. They burned part of the dinner for the gods. Naruto was sure to scrape in extra for his patron, and 2 other gods he asked favors from. At the bonfire, the senior counselors awarded the end of summer beads. Percy and Naruto each got their own leather necklace. The bead was pitch black and with a sea green trident on one side and a silver bow on the other side. The choice was unanimous, Luke announced. This bead commemorates the first son of the sea god and the first ever son of the huntress at this camp, and the quest they undertook into the darkest part of the underworld to stop a war. The entire camp got to their feet and cheered. Even Ares' cabin felt obliged to stand. Naruto was so happy. This was the first time he felt that he was part of a real family. The sad thing was, most of them would be leaving for the year. At least, they had a lot to look forward to. The day our heroes dreaded has finally arrived. A form appeared beside each and every demigod's bedside. The way it was filled out definitely told them that it was Mr. D, the camp director, who made it because all the names were spelled wrong. Written on the note was, Dear _ if you intend to stay at Camp Half-Blood year-round, you must inform the big house by noon today. If you do not announce your intentions, we will assume you have vacated your cabin or died a horrible death. Cleaning harpies will begin work at sundown. They will be authorized to eat any unregistered campers. All personal articles left behind will be incinerated in the lava pit. Have a nice day. Mr. D. Dionysus, Camp Director, Olympian Council Number 12. One son of Artemis didn't know if he should stay year-round or leave the camp and finish school. But since it was the last day of camp and there are no more activities, he had a chance to look for the voice that called out to his name all those months ago. Naruto trekked through Half-Blood Hill, looking for any sign of where the voice might be. Just then, the voice came again. P.S. The voice giggled. Naruto whipped his head to where he thought he heard the voice. Hey, over here. There it was again. This time the blonde was sure where it was coming from. It was coming from the big pine tree at the border of camp. Cool, you noticed. Come here. It called out to him. Naruto went straight to the origin of the voice. He wasn't sure what to do, but he placed a hand on the tree to examine it. That was the moment that he was sucked into the tree. He was disoriented for a minute. He shook himself off his stupor to get his bearings. A voice spoke. This time it wasn't a whisper. It was like he was face to face with owner of the voice. Finally, I get to meet you in person. The voice of a girl said. Naruto looked up to see the girl he had dreamt of way back in the truck. Talia? Naruto asked. The girl nodded. Good. You remember me. I was thinking you would forget about me. I never forget a face. Naruto replied. So, we really did meet in that dream. Yes we did. Talia said. I was surprised you were able to enter my limbo. Beats me, Naruto shrugged. Probably because I'm the son of the goddess of the wilderness. Maybe, damn I'll never get used to that. You know virgin goddess and all. They both laughed. Wait, Naruto said suddenly realizing something. Grover said you died at Half-Blood Hill. Talia shook her head. My dad turned what remained of my life force into a tree, so here I am stuck to reliving my life over and over. So that's when, Naruto started. Yeah. Talia said, so, I heard you prevented a civil war. How did you know? The blonde asked. I hear everything that's happening around here. I'm basically protecting camp now, so yeah. The daughter of Zeus explained. Oh, I guess I should thank you then. Naruto bowed in gratitude. We're able to live here in peace thanks to you. Don't mention it. Talia shook it off. I just wanted these kids to be safe. They both smiled. Thanks for watching over Annabeth and Grover in the quest. Talia said. No problem. It was their first time they were going out on quest, so I didn't want them to fail, or worse. Naruto didn't need to finish that sentence. It brought him back to his first time out of the village when he froze when Chunin attacked. Talia's expression hardened. I sense that there might be some danger coming from you. It's been bugging me ever since we met. Oh yeah, about that. Naruto didn't know how to explain it, but he told Talia all the same. A few minutes later, the two went on talking about their own lives. Talia felt sorry for Naruto. It wasn't his fault that some kind of demon fox was sealed inside of him. Sorry about that, I didn't know. It's fine. Naruto cut her off. Do Annabeth and Grover know? Naruto shook his head. It's not for me to say, but you should tell if you really trust them. I dunno. I told you how the villagers treated me. This time it will be different. Talia put a hand on Naruto's shoulder. We're demigods, we know what it's like to be ignored and seen as a pest. Why, you're right. I'll gather up the courage to tell them. Good. I promise they'll be more accepting. After she said that, a look of horror appeared on Talia's face. What's wrong? Naruto asked. How did I not feel that coming? Talia said. One of the campers is. Naruto widened his eyes. He didn't want anything bad happen to his newfound family. I should get going. I might be able to save them. Be careful. Talia snapped her fingers and Naruto found himself out in the forest again. Oh no, Percy, Naruto said aloud, sensing Percy in danger. The blonde shinobi jumped from tree to tree to get to his friend's aid as fast as he could. When he got to Percy's location, he was surprised to see Luke watching Percy succumb to some kind of bug bite in his hand. A few feet from Percy was a scorpion with a slash wound on its abdomen. Naruto threw some kunai at Luke, but he deflected it with his sword. Luke smirked. Good of you to join us, Naruto, but you're too late. Percy was now crawling to the creek. His hand was submerged in the water, but nothing was happening. So, you're the traitor? Naruto asked, his kunai drawn. You almost killed Grover with those shoes. I'll admit, I wasn't expecting you to join the quest, or this piece of shit to give my gift to Grover. You just didn't think this through. No matter. You've only delayed our plans. He will rise again, and when that happens. Luke let out an evil laugh. Goodbye Naruto, Percy. Luke waved them farewell. Luke slashed his sword and he disappeared in a ripple of darkness. Help, please, Percy croaked. Oh no, Percy, Naruto said. Hang on. I got you. Naruto created about 50 clones to scour the area, and then slung the son of Poseidon on his shoulder and ran as fast as he could to the big house. The big house. Chiron was blowing a conch horn when he saw Naruto approaching with Percy slung on his shoulder, seemingly in distress. What's wrong, my boy? Chiron asked with worry in his voice. What happened to Percy? It's Luke, Chiron. Naruto explained. He did this to him. You can explain later, my boy. We need to make sure he's alright. Chiron said. Naruto nodded and brought him to the infirmary with Chiron in tow. When they got there, Naruto laid Percy onto a bed. The centaur examined Percy. I recognize this mark. It is a bite from a pit scorpion. He had been poisoned. Annabeth came running in. I saw you carrying Percy here. What happened? Should I tell her, Chiron? She might not like it. Naruto asked the centaur. The centaur nodded. The campers need to know about this. You see. Luke poisoned Percy. Annabeth stared at Naruto in disbelief. No, she managed to say. You have to be wrong. Luke wouldn't. I knew she would react like this. Damn it, Chiron. Naruto muttered to himself. Luke told me everything, Annabeth. Naruto narrated what he had learned from Luke while Chiron listened while treating Percy. After Naruto was finished, the daughter of Athena had tears in her eyes. You should be betrayed by one who calls you friend. She said after a while. Yes, Naruto said. I'm afraid that's what the prophecy is talking about. I still can't believe Luke would do something like this. No one was expected this. Naruto walked forward and held Annabeth. The girl just sobbed into his chest. Naruto knew what it felt like to be betrayed by a friend. He understood what his friend was going through. After all, they had been through a lot. Percy groaned, breaking the moment. Annabeth wiped her tears. We better look after Percy. Yes, you better do that, Chiron said. I shall report what we have learned to Olympus. Sure, Chiron, Naruto replied. Leave Percy to us. Chiron nodded, and then galloped outside. A few hours later, Percy's eyes fluttered open, only to find Annabeth feeding him nectar, Naruto dabbing the sweat on his forehead, and Argus at the doorway standing guard. Fortunately, the color had returned to his face. Percy raised his hand to massage his head, but he noticed his hand bandaged like a club. I thought I swatted that thing away. The son of Poseidon said. Apparently, you didn't. Naruto said. Geez, Percy, you gave us quite the scare. Tell me about it. Percy scratched the back of his head with his other hand. The water wasn't working at all earlier. Is it true? Annabeth asked with hope in his voice. What? Percy asked. Do you mean? Annabeth nodded. Luke. Percy looked at Naruto. The blonde gestured for him to go ahead. Afraid so. Percy said. The younger blonde hung her head low. I was hoping you would say something different. What's with her? Percy asked Naruto. She can't accept that Luke had deserted the camp. The blonde shinobi explained. Anyway, how are you feeling? Like my insides have been frozen, then microwaved. Percy described. That's to be expected, considering how deadly Chiron said it was. Naruto said. Thanks for coming to get me. Percy thanked the blonde. Don't mention it. The blonde waved it off. Where's Chiron anyway? Percy asked, noticing the absence of the centaur. After treating you, he went to Olympus to report what happened. This time Annabeth spoke up. Percy nodded, and then took a sip of nectar. The room was quiet after that. May the gods curse him, Annabeth spoke aloud. What? The two boys asked. Luke, he was never the same after his quest, Annabeth said. You mean the one that gave him the scar? Percy asked. Annabeth nodded. Luke's out there right now. Percy suggested. We should go after him. Percy, that isn't a good idea. Annabeth said. Lord Zeus closed this matter. Naruto said after. The stew. Percy, choose your words carefully. You already went through his domain. Naruto reminded. Alright, he won't even talk about Kronos. Which is why we have to do this ourselves. Percy raised his voice. Revenge isn't the path you should walk down, Percy. I have lost a friend to vengeance once already, I won't lose you too. Naruto explained. Besides, you're in no condition to engage, Luke. You can't even hold a sword now. Annabeth added. He could hit Luke with his hand. After all, it looks like a club. Naruto joked, making Percy blush. Annabeth punched Naruto in the arm. Not now, Naruto. Ow. The blonde complained. Sorry, but we can't sit back and do nothing. Percy said. No, my boy, Chiron said as he entered the room. We will sit back, but we are going to prepare. Remember, the Time Lord wants you to be unraveled. He wants your judgment to be clouded with fear and anger. Chiron, you're back. Naruto and Annabeth said. Yes, well, Lord Zeus still doesn't want to talk about this matter. Figures, Naruto commented. But Chiron, Percy tried to protest. We will prepare, Percy. Train hard. Your time will come. The centaur said with finality. Assuming I live that long, the son of Poseidon grumbled. Chiron walked to the bed and put a hand on Percy's shoulder. You'll have to trust me, Percy. You will live, but first you must decide your path for the coming year. I cannot tell you the right choices, but you must decide whether to stay at Camp Half-Blood year-round, or return to the mortal world for 7th grade and be a summer camper. Think on that for now. The centaur glanced at the only girl in the room. Oh, and, Annabeth my dear, whenever you're ready, they're here. Who's here? Percy and Naruto asked together. Nobody answered. Chiron walked out of the room. All that can be heard were clops of Chiron's hooves on the wooden floorboards. Annabeth studied Percy's drink. Naruto placed a hand on Annabeth's shoulder. You okay? I'm fine, I just took Percy's advice on something. When did I give you advice? Annabeth sighed. You're hopeless sometimes. Give me a break. ADHD remember. Percy slipped down his bed and tried to stand up. That's not a good idea, Percy. Naruto warned. But I want to. A wave of nausea hit the injured boy. Fortunately, the older blonde was able to catch him as he crumpled to the ground. Told ya, Naruto scolded. I'm fine. Percy insisted. I don't want to be lying here while Luke plots to destroy the Western world. He managed a step forward, and then another, still leaning heavily on Naruto. Annabeth and Argus followed the two boys outside, with the latter keeping his distance. By the time we reached the porch, Percy's face was beaded with sweat. He felt his stomach twist into knots. But he had managed to make it all the way to the railing. It was dusk. The camp looked completely deserted. The cabins were dark and the volleyball pit silent. No canoes cut the surface of the lake. Beyond the woods and the strawberry fields, The Long Island Sound glittered in the last light of the sun. What are you going to do? Annabeth asked Percy. I don't know. Percy shrugged. I got a feeling Chiron wants me to stay year-round, so I can train more, but I'm not sure I want to. But I don't want to leave you two with only Clarice for company. Annabeth pursed her lips, and then said quietly, I'm going home for the year, Percy. If anything, maybe only Naruto would stay alone with Clarice. That's new to me. Naruto tilted his head. And I haven't signed my form yet cause of all the madness, so I'm not sure either. Are you going to your dad's? Percy asked. Annabeth nodded. She pointed towards the crest of Half-Blood Hill. Next to Talia's pine tree, at the very edge of the camp's magical boundaries, a family stood silhouetted, two little children, a woman, and a tall man with blonde hair. They seemed to be waiting. The man was holding a backpack that the words Waterland plaster on it. I wrote him a letter when we got back, Annabeth explained. Just like you suggested. I told him I was sorry. I'd come home for the school year if he still wanted me. He wrote back immediately. We decided we'd give it another try. That's good. But what are you going to do about the monsters? Annabeth was about to answer, but Naruto spoke up. I guess I know where I'm going for the year. The blonde announced. What are you talking about? Percy asked. You could handle yourself on your own now, right, Percy? Naruto asked. You kidding? Of course. Why? He asked. I can go with you to your house, Naruto offered Annabeth. Annabeth and Percy gave odd looks at Naruto. Naruto got flustered and looked away. I mean, I can follow you there and stay at a hotel or something. What good are these millions of dollars I have sealed here if I don't use them? Naruto said while scratching his head. $1 million. Annabeth and Percy exclaimed. Where'd you get that kind of money? Annabeth asked. Oh, didn't I tell you guys? Naruto scratched the back of his head. I won a lot of money back at the Lotus Hotel, and I managed to swipe Grover and Percy's cards. How did you manage that? Plus you're underaged. It was Percy's turn to ask. With a little luck and the henge no jutsu. Naruto explained nonchalantly. And you swiped my and Grover's cars? Percy asked again. Pretty easy really. Super awesome ninja, remember? Naruto reminded the two. Annabeth punched him in the arm again. Hey. Naruto was about to protest but Annabeth kissed the older blonde on the cheek. Anyway, that's so sweet of you, Naruto. Percy had a thumb up. Yeah, I'm enough old to handle myself here. You can go and keep wise girl out of trouble. We'll see. In that case, don't do anything stupid while I'm gone. Naruto reminded. How can I? You're taking all the stupid with you. Percy joked. But aren't you the one with all the stupid? Naruto teased. I can't agree with you more. Annabeth said. Shush, shut up, Blondie. Percy said. All three of them laughed at that. When we get back next summer, Annabeth started. We'll hunt down Luke, we'll ask for a quest, but if we don't get approval, we'll sneak off and do it anyway. Agreed. Sounds like a plan worthy of Athena. Percy said while Naruto nodded. Take care, seaweed brain. Keep your eyes open, she said, offering a hand to the son of Poseidon. The two shook on it. Annabeth turned to the blonde shinobi. And Naruto. Iris, message me when you get to my house. I'll meet you there. Got it. Naruto grinned and gave her a thumb up. Naruto and Percy watched her walk up the hill and join her family. She gave her father an awkward hug and looked back at the valley one last time. She touched Talia's pine tree, then allowed herself to be led over the crest and into the mortal world. I guess I better fill up my form and get packin', Naruto voiced his thoughts. Take care of Annabeth, okay Naruto? Percy said. I got it covered, Databio. Naruto replied. Give this card to your mom. Just in case you guys need it to buy a luxury apartment or something. You can destroy it if you want or don't need it. I don't know how to thank you, man. Just hug Aunt Sally for me, K. That I can do. The two bumped fists and went their separate ways. To be continued. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.